Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, Brian Cashman beefs up the team. No, not the team on the field, but the front office, bringing in some veteran front office guys there to the Yankee organization in the tune of Omar, Minaya, as well as Brian Sabean. So they will now advise Brian Cashman in the Yankee organization, and I think it's a solid move for them. So kind of get into that whole breakdown. But before I do, be a short episode. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast, wherever you're listening to it. iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. You have no idea what website you're on, but there's a subscribe button. Hit that and get notified when new content goes up. A lot of cool stuff. Again, previous episode did a breakdown of the 1952 World Series, so we'll look at Yankee past, Yankee present, and predictions of the Yankee future. So to get all that, you have to be a podcast subscriber, so make sure you subscribe. As they say, crush that button. If it's a subscribe button, crush it, step on it, smash it, and you get notified when new episodes go up. So, as mentioned before, Brian Cashman adding to the team here. Not really surprised. I kind of figured this would kind of happen. Again, I was okay with Cashman coming back. I know a lot of fans wanted to ship him out here, but I had the feeling Howell was going to bring him back, and he gave Cashman that extension there. Now, if Cashman were to depart this for hey, look, you've been here a long time, but clearly, this team's lacking. We're behind Houston, and we're behind some other teams here in developing on plays and so forth. We haven't won a championship since 2009, so thank you for your time. Goodbye. If that would have happened, I would have been okay with it, but I was, again, leaning towards Cashman remaining as a Yankee, and that ultimately became the case. But you figured there might have been some caveats with that, and you figured maybe, how, all right, we're going to bring you back, again, give you a couple of years here so you have job security, but I want more input from other people here. Obviously, our inability to develop our own position players, as well as just, in general, the Yankees kind of being a little lacking there, buying some clubs like Houston, like some of these teams like Tampa Bay, for example, in terms of just developing their own players and so forth. Again, mainly position players. I think the Yankees usually do a very good job at relievers. Developing their own relievers. Starting pitching, that's kind of lacking there a little bit. But really, position players is where the Yankees really, okay, I know you look at Judge, but, other than that, not too many success stories. Gleyber, all right, okay, kind of up and down-ish, a little bit, kind of a bit of disappointment. Thought you had something with Gary Sanchez there, but unfortunately needed to ship him out there. So, again, not enough young talent developed by the Yankees. Kind of whatever happened with Clint Frazier, that whole situation broke down. He never came to fruition there. You had Greg Bird looking good, but of course, couldn't stay healthy with his body. So other than that, not much from the Yankees in the department. We'll see what we have with Oswaldo Cabrera, but still too early on him, as well as Peraza. So, the Yankees need to get a little better in that department there. So, and that's probably going to be what Brian Sabean's specialty is going to be. He's a scout type of guy. So I'll kind of quickly give you their resume. And, this was probably where, Hal said, look, I want more guys in on some of these decisions. So Sabean originally was with the Yankee organization back in 85. So he kind of broke into the MLB as a scout. And they kind of say he was partially responsible for the Yankee dynasty, again, having a hand of the likes of Jeter coming on board, Mariano, Posada, Pettit, all kind of scouted there in the early 90s. So who knows really if he was directly involved with that or had a hand in that, but nevertheless, never really got a chance to appreciate those players developing and not being part of the Yankee Torrey dynasty there. He departed from the Yankees in 93, joining the Giants, and then from there worked his way up, eventually becoming their GM in 1996. So kind of while those players that he scouted in the early 90s were paying off for the Yankees, he was out there with San Francisco. Had a pretty long run, similar to Cashman, from 96 to 2015. And then after 2015, transitioned to their senior vice president of baseball operations. And that was from 2015 to 2018. And then kind of been floating around since. But again, his specialty is the scouting. Now, title card now, of course, they're cooking up these business titles for these two guys. But nevertheless, he's the official executive advisor to Brian Cashman. So that's Sabean. And then, of course, Omar Minaya, of course, if you're a New York fan in general, you know about him. He's been around for a while. Queens native, the former Mets GM from 2004 to 2010 there. Now, he broke in with the Montreal Expos, kind of cut his teeth with that, eventually coming to the Mets and working his way up to be the general manager of the Mets there. And again, remember the Mets, he put together some good teams there against the 2006 team that competed, unfortunately got eliminated by the St. Louis Cardinals in that Game 7 there with if you remember that I believe it was Yadier Molina hit the go-ahead home run in extra innings there. Again, that was a pretty good Mets team there. Had Pedro Martinez. They brought back El Duque. Even though it wasn't the same El Duque, it was a serviceable for them. They had Carlos Beltran, Carlos Delgado. because David Wright, before the injuries took a toll, Jose Reyes. So, Minaya put a good team together there. Now, 2007, 2008, that's when the Mets had those colossal collapses in September, back-to-back years. But overall, the team for the 90% of, or 95% of those two seasons was very good. So Omar and I did put some good teams there. But of course, two heartbreaking September collapses back-to-back. And then eventually, you wore as welcome after the 2010 season. And so, the whole criticism, basically is that the Yankees are too analytical. So Omar Minaya is kind of like the personal old school touch guy. So, I'll look at the analytics, but I'm more about feel and look. And maybe, Brian Cashman's a little too much analytical. So Omar Minaya is probably supposed to be like the personal touch yin to Brian Cashman's analytical yang. So that's going to be his specialty there. Now, his official title, he's a senior advisor to baseball operations. So he's a senior advisor to baseball operations. Brian Sabean is an executive advisor. Again, these titles don't really mean anything. It's just more them just going to be advising Cashman, put their 2 cents in there. So again, I think it's great for the Yankees. Why not add, the two veteran front office guys? Now you can say, look, they're both in their late 60s, a little long in the tooth. Yeah, it's a new game, new that. All right, you can look at that angle as well. But again, you look at about two guys that have been around the game for quite a long time. Sabean a little bit longer. But I think the Sabean one's pretty good just with the scouting, because I think that's where, again, the Yankees need to hit some home runs better there. Just definitely behind Houston and kind of developing a play. I mean, look at Houston. They lose someone like Springer. They lose Carlos Correa, and they don't even skip a beat, And they lose Verlander this offseason, and I'm sure, again, next season they'll have 5 guys ready to go, and their rotation will just be equally as tough. Maybe they lose an inch there by losing Verlander, but not that much. It's still going to be a formidable, starting rotation for them. So that's the episode. So not too much going on in Yankee land. Of course, they hear that, again, they're trying to still make a deal with the Pirates for Brian Reynolds. It just seems like right now, supposedly, the asking price for him is a little too high. And in terms of Reynolds staying with the Pirates, you're hearing that the Pirates would like to offer him a contract, but they're about $50 million apart from what Reynolds and his agent wants and what the Pirates are really willing to offer. So chances are he's going to get traded to somebody. But it looks like right now that his asking price is too high. So it looks like the Yankees are probably going to pass on that one. Just the way it looks like now. Carlos Correa is still obviously not officially signed with the Mets. He's going back and forth, and now you're hearing word that the Mets are starting to get a little frustrated with him because he's not backing down from his demands, but the Mets don't want to sign him at the length they originally were, just because with that ankle injury that keeps showing up on physicals, not only his physical, but the physical he took with the San Francisco Giants. So now this is 2 people telling you the same thing. So definitely some type of issue there where nobody wants to give Carlos Correa too much of a long commitment. So he's kind of floating around there. So, if the Mets decide to pull the deal off the table at some point, then maybe again he ends up somewhere else. So that kind of remains to be seen. So again, quick episode. Brian Cashman will have at least a couple more wise veteran baseball front office guys, whispering his ear. So hopefully helps him make some better decisions. But I think a lot of it mainly just with their internal scouting. That's where they probably need, the Yankees need the most help, just developing their own young players. Just not always relying on, paying someone like, $400 million like that and whatnot. So that's the episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe and get notified when new ones come up. They'll be coming soon. Catch you later.